You know, before I watched episode 4 of Kenobi, I did go back to watch episode 3 again, and I did like episode 3 a lot more the second time I watched it. And I kind of feel weird because, I look back at my review for episode 3 and I had trouble really putting into words what it was about this show that it wasn't connecting with me. Like, I thought about this all week, y'all, and I think the best conclusion I can come up with, because you know me, like if you've been around here, you know that if I don't like something, I'm going to tell you why I don't like it. And if I like it, I'm going to tell you why I do, or at least try to explain it as best I can. And I think the reason as to why the Obi Wan Kenobi Disney Plus show, specifically the episode with Vader and Obi Wan, really kind of messed with my head a little bit, is because it came off, it really had this feeling, and maybe it's because I have preconceived notions in my own head, but it really felt like shoehorned in fan fiction. And that's because that's exactly what it is. Whether or not you like this show or not, this show feels like shoehorned in fan fiction. You gotta understand, I've been watching Star Wars since I was a little kid, and I grew up with the original trilogy, and then I saw the prequels in theaters. So the story of Obi-Wan and Vader is one that I've kind of known all my life, and they've changed it as the years went by. And everything about this show just screams like we have to try to make this fit in. We have to capitalize on the popularity of Jedi and Sith and Vader and Obi-Wan. And that's really how it came off. I was so happy to see Vader and hear James Earl Jones's voice again. And he sounded great. But honestly, it's almost like it's very subconscious. Like it's almost like hidden there. It's hidden, inside and beneath the surface of my thoughts every time I watch this show, because it really does just come off like they were shoehorning this story in. This story did not need to be told. Just the fact they're putting Leia in there and Bail Organa, which, I would think an Obi-Wan show would be mostly about him on Tatooine, but that's not what this is about. And I'm not trashing it. It's just, it has that sort of feeling over it. And other Disney Plus shows like Mandalorian and even Book of Boba Fett, I would say Mandalorian feels the less shoehorned in of all of them, because Book of Boba Fett still does come off like fan service to capitalize on the popularity of Boba Fett, but this one, Kenobi, really does feel like it's shoehorned in. So we get to episode 4, and episode 4 of Kenobi, or part 4 as they say, is all about Kenobi trying to rescue Leia from Reva. Following the battle with Obi-Wan and Vader, Obi-Wan needs some help to get to this sort of moon where the Inquisitor base is at, where Leia is being held captive. And she's about to get tortured by Reva as Reva tries to extract information out of her for this underground network of basically rebels. And so Obi-Wan has to sneak on there. Now, the main criticism I have of this episode is that it felt very rushed. For a show that really has prided itself in taking its time, especially with the first 2 episodes, this was only about 39 minutes, including credits, and so it felt very rushed. It was really, really fast-paced. And I'm not complaining necessarily about that, but it's very jarring to go from a slower paced show to this episode, which crammed a lot in. Obi-Wan rescuing Leia. And again, this recontextualizes the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope, even more so than the prequels do, because going into those movies, I didn't even know that Leia had ever met Obi-Wan before. No, none of us did. We didn't know. We didn't know that Obi-Wan and Leia ever had an interaction, but considering that episode 4, A New Hope, is 9 years after this show, I don't think Leia would forget somebody as heroic as Obi-Wan for all the things he did for her on this show. And again, it has that feeling, that overarching feeling of, damn, man, like this feels like it's shoehorned in fan service. Even though the Ewan McGregor performance is great and the acting is phenomenal, it still just doesn't feel natural. It feels like a cash grab, and I don't know if that's ever going to go away, no matter how much I enjoy this show. So it was an okay episode. I have to say my favorite scene of the episode has to be when they're in the underwater Inquisitor base, and Obi-Wan's rescuing Leia, and there's a scene where like this sort of like bridge area is about to collapse because the water's about to break in, and Obi-Wan uses the Force to kind of keep the glass like sturdy to prevent the water from flooding, and then finally he runs and then lets it go, and he barely makes it out. It was a very super heroic type of scene, like a very Indiana Jones type of feel to it, and that is not a criticism. That's actually something I really liked a lot. You know, Obi-Wan kind of learning to be a hero again is one of the more fun parts of this show, and how Ewan McGregor portrays him as being this soldier who's kind of beat up. You know, he's older now. He has not used the Force in a long time. He has not used a lightsaber in a long time. You know, Vader is still kind of in his prime. Obi-Wan's definitely past his prime, but he's very cunning. You know, I like that. Like, I like that story. You know, but the way that, like, the way he kind of did that, like, now he's starting to get reacclimated with the Force. You know, I thought that was great. I thought that was really, really good stuff. And the Reva character is, you know, she's getting a bit more interesting, but she's still not, like, they spent a lot of TV time on her, and I'm not hating on that necessarily, but, you know, she's still not, like, the most interesting character, at least not yet. And I know what happens to her at the end of this season, because they already announced season 2, which I have my own thoughts on that, which I'll save for a separate video. But you know, she is a little bit generic, I would say. But Moses Ingram is doing the best job she can to play this character, but there's not really much there. And you would think that with a TV show that really has no limits, you know, the first episode was like a double episode, you can spend more time visiting her past. But maybe they'll do that in the future. Maybe they will. And I hope they do. So thanks to the spy, Obi-Wan does successfully rescue Leia, but as expected, or maybe not expected, but it's definitely become a Star Wars trope. If there was ever a Star Wars trope, this is one of them, where, yes, there's a tracking device, of course. I was not surprised. There's a tracking device that Reva used, specifically in Leia's droid, to help the Sith and the Sith Inquisitors find Obi-Wan and Leia and put an end to them, or at least to Obi-Wan. So that's such a trope, yo. Like, it's just like how in Star Wars we always have somebody sneaking into a base and dressing up like an Imperial, or, you know, whatever, you know, separatist, or whatever it happens to be, you know, whatever happened for, you know, First Order soldier, whatever. That's like a thing that happens in Star Wars all the time. Same thing with the tracking devices. There's always a tracking device, you know. That's how they get out of things. Oh, I put a tracking device. That's my backup plan. You would think by now the good guys would be kind of accustomed to watching out for these tracking devices, but who'd have thunk it? So I think the last 2 episodes are really going to get explosive. I think that Reva and Vader are going to come back for Obi-Wan, and we're going to have to see him in action one more time. And I do look forward to that, because I want to know what they're going to do with this final Vader Obi-Wan duel, you know, in episode 6. I want to know what they're going to do with that, how they're going to make it look, and how they're going to make it awesome. You know, I certainly hope we at least get that. But I'm glad I was able to talk to you all this week and really convey my thoughts on why this show's been bugging me. And I'm trying to not let it bug me, but it's just there. It's always in my brain, and it can't leave my brain. And so it's unfortunate, but that's just how it is. And it's going to be that way with a lot of these Disney Plus shows. That's why I feel like what they need to do is they need to, if they want to keep doing Star Wars and tell these Star Wars Disney Plus show stories, they got to put the timeline in a different place, like way in the past, way in the future, away from the Skywalkers, away from the Kenobis, like something totally different, which I think they're going to be doing anyways, you know, after Kenobi. But I feel like they really got to do that, so that way it doesn't really interrupt the flow of things that was established by George Lucas, because this definitely interrupts the flow of things. It feels genuinely like bad fan fiction, just keeping it real with you. Anyways, that is it for this video. What did you think about episode 4? I thought it was okay, but probably the weakest episode so far, just because there wasn't much there. Just a basic rescue mission. And what did you think? Let me know, and I look forward to reading your comment, and I'll see y'all very soon. And hopefully this show I can snap out of this, but I might not be able to, just being honest with you.